What's up, motorists? Today we are going to take a break from the sports cars and go back to something sensible, something the everyday man can afford and drive. So much so, in fact, that this has become one of the most popular new cars here in Singapore. This is, of course, the BYD Atto 3, and today we're going to try and figure out why. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get notified of all our future uploads. So first up, as usual, we're going to talk about the Atto 3's design, which is inoffensive, but still pretty stylish, in my opinion. It's got this unique look, and it doesn't really fall into the trap that many electric SUVs do nowadays, where they all kind of just look like they're copying each other. Now, part of the reason for that is BYD's Dragon Face 3.0 design philosophy. Now, what that means is there's got a couple of design cues all around the car that tie together to give it that unique look. Now, up front, that means there's got this extra bit around the LED headlights that, combined with the sloping hood line, gives it this mean brow, fierce look that make up the eyes of the dragon. And that's not my words, these are BYD's words. The eyes of the dragon up front. And you know what? I kind of see it. So, the BYD Atto 3, if you get the Carbon Edge trim level, only if you get the Carbon Edge trim level, you do also get a front compartment. Now, if you're worried about Chinese cars having mylo-tin sheet metal, you don't have to worry about that anymore, because this is the heaviest hood I've ever felt in my entire life. Up front, you have a small front compartment or frappartment to put small items, maybe some books, clothes, a couple of groceries. It's really not that big, but it's a little bit of extra storage up front. Moving on to the side of the Atto 3, we get these 18-inch rims that do look quite smart. Moving on, because this car is the Carbon Edge trim level, what you get, including the front at the front, is the black roof and all of the exterior chrome bits in black, as well as the black interior. And because of the dragon face design, the queue on the side, check out this scaled feature panel. It is actually like a kind of scaly design, I guess, to further encapsulate that dragon energy. Now at the back, we get the continuation of that dragon face design with this, the feather special effect. That's what BYD calls it, rear light assembly. Basically, it's just got these kind of slats in the back that's supposed to represent the dragon's wagging tail, which I think does look actually quite cool. Now that continues into the full-length rear light bar. And on the back of the boot, you also see the full government name for what BYD stands for. Build your dreams. Thank you, BYD. Perhaps I will. But for now, I'm going to show you the boot, which is electric. You just press it. It whirs open, and on the Atto 3, the boot is actually quite substantial. It's very deep, and if you check it out, there's plenty of space for me to climb in. And even though there is a parcel shelf, it is removable, and then you can easily get yourself a lot of groceries, some cabin bags back here, no problem at all. So here we are in the back seat of the Atto 3, and first things first, it's great, because check this out, I'm 1.8 meters tall, and even if I slouch, I've got loads of knee room, I've got lots and lots of foot room because the floor is completely flat. I've got plenty of headroom, and I can just sit here and look out of my giant panoramic sunroof. Amenities wise, I've got lots of that as well. I've got my seat back pockets, I've got my air vents, I've got USB Type A charging, Type C charging, I've got my center armrest with my cup holders, if nobody's sitting in the middle, and of course I have my ISOFIX child seat anchor points for if I want to put some baby seats back here. So what's there to complain about? I don't see anything. It's great. So let's jump in front and I'll show you some of the quirks and features of the BYD Atto 3 on the inside. So before we jump into the front seats of the Atto 3, I want to just preempt you a little bit, because the Dragon Face 3.0 design language, well, on the inside, that's taken a lot of inspiration from music and sports. Now what that means is you get some funny stuff like this. Check out this guitar looking thingy with the 3 strings. It's also used as a barrier for the door pockets, but check this out. It's tuned. And they make 3 distinct notes. Well, they're not in tune, but it is a tune. And I just think it's the most amusing little gimmick I've ever seen in a car. And that's not even the only gimmick this car has. So let's jump in and I'll show you that one. So here we are in the front seats of the Atto 3, and remember when I said it was music and sports inspired? Well, we've seen the music inspired. Now let me show you the sports. Check out this center console here with where the air vents are. This is supposed to remind you of the dumbbell rack at the gym. I kind of see it, I guess, with the air vents, and I guess it kind of looks like that. And you get this gear lever that reminds me of the old American Hearst style shifters, which I do quite enjoy using. Now you also have in the center console all the buttons for some of your main car functions like volume. You have drive modes, your regen settings, parking brake, engine start stop button, stuff like that. But one of the really cool features about the interior of the Atto 3 is this screen. So if you press this button or you press a button on the screen, check this out. The whole screen rotates from landscape to portrait, or portrait back to landscape. There is no necessary need to have this. It is completely unnecessary, as with the guitar strings. But once again, I'm really just amused by the fact that it can do that. Now this is the pre-facelift model. So for 2024, they are releasing a facelifted model that has an even bigger screen straight out of the BYD seal. And you'll just be able to see all your stuff, but even bigger now. Elsewhere, we have this flat bottom steering wheel with all your steering wheel controls, as well as your digital gauge cluster behind that. But I think the best feature of this car, and the best feature I've seen in any car so far, is this. First you go to the main menu, you swipe, you go to utility, and then you swipe again, and here, hidden in the sub menu, is this. The inbuilt karaoke system. It's the most ridiculous feature I've ever seen in a car, and it didn't even advertise it. I found this out by accident. But guess what? BYD sells a BYD microphone that attaches directly into your car, so you can have your karaoke sessions in your car. They didn't even advertise this. I found this out by accident. Why wouldn't you advertise this? This is fantastic. Okay, back to the car itself. This interior, it's fantastic. I have nice cushy materials around all my touch points. I have no complaints really. So all that's left to do is see how she drives. So first things first, this is the 100 kilowatt Cat A COE variant of the Atto 3. Of course, that means that it's slower than the other Atto 3 variant, the Cat B 150 kilowatt variant. But I don't think the average buyer is going to be as concerned with performance difference in 50 kilowatts as they are with the price difference, which with the way COE goes here can be quite substantial. But before we get into all of that performance stuff, I want to touch on one of the things I really don't like about the Atto 3, which is the fact that all of my aircon controls are locked in the screen. There are no physical buttons for it anywhere. What that means is that especially if I'm in Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which the car both has, I have to do extra swipes to get back to the main home screen, just so I can adjust my fan speed or my temperature if I'm feeling a bit hot or a bit cold, which is something I just really do not like doing. Now dynamically, the Atto 3 is very well sorted. The suspension is comfortable, it's got a good ride, it's pliable over all but the worst of the bumps in the road, which for the average buyer is exactly what they want. You don't get the massive kick in the back of your head when you put your foot down, which is fantastic for the normal driver. Now, but even though I say all of that, being electric, it of course still has enough of that instant torque hit when you put your foot down to let you merge into the gaps that you want in traffic. And speaking of which, this Atto 3 has, of course, 100 kilowatts of power with a 60.5 kilowatt hour battery, and all of that together gives it about 130 horsepower. That's about the equivalent of 100 kilowatts, and 310 Newton meters of torque. Now, all of that together means I can get from 0 to 100 in a pretty relaxed 9.7 seconds. Annoying AC controls aside, it is truly a fantastic little electric runabout for use here in Singapore. It does just about everything else you need well, and I can very easily see why it's become such a popular car amongst the general car population here in Singapore. Overall, I am properly impressed with the Atto 3 and the product that BYD has put out. I think it drives great, I think it looks pretty good, and for the money, I think it offers pretty good value. So if you're in the market for a small electric SUV, I can wholeheartedly recommend giving the Atto 3 a try. Thank you very much for watching this episode of mReview. As always, be sure to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.
Motorist